והנה מגיעה שיחת הסיכום עם פרופסור ג'וש אנגריסט, הזוכה בפרס הנובל בכלכלה לשנת 2021. ובה, בשיחה הזאת אני שואל אותו על חייו בעקבות הזכייה בפרס. כי קראתי פעם מחקר שנעשה על הזוכים בפרס הנובל ולמדתי ממנו שהזכייה עשויה להידמות לנשיקת מוות לקריירת המחקר. הזוכים מקבלים כל כך הרבה הזמנות אחר כך, כל כך הרבה הצעות לחלטורות בסין או שכאלו, עד שמי שאינו יודע לכלכל את זמנו כהלכה נטרף על ידי הזכייה בפרס. זה מזכיר קצת את הסיפורים על מי שזוכים בפיס, שהזכייה לא תמיד עושה להם טוב. אני אגב, אני מוכן להתחלף, גם בפיס, גם בפרס נובל. כי אם הקשבתי טוב לפרופסור אנגריסט, יש דרך שלא להתערף על ידי זכייה בפרס. אפשר להמשיך לנהל קריירה. אז הנה מה ששאלתי את פרופסור אנגריסט. הממצאים האלה על הזוכים בפרס הנובל הטרידו אותך?
I worried about that, because I still think I'm an active, productive scholar and I'm teaching and, so I'm very busy and I like what I do and I want to keep doing it. And I was a little worried that when I got the Nobel, it would be very disruptive and distracting. And of course, it's nice to win a Nobel Prize and lots of people would like that. So I don't want to say that I regret it and that I'm sorry it happened and so on. But, I have a good life. I had a good life before and I like my work and I want to keep doing what I do. So I worried that I would be distracted enough that I would become involved with other things because they seem appealing, but then also I would sort of lose my skills to do analytical work and technical problems and, empirical work that takes a lot of time and discipline. And so far I'm feeling pretty good about all that. One thing is I don't do a lot of things, so people invite me. Every day I get invited to many things that I don't do. And I still work on my projects and my papers. But I want to strike a balance. I feel that there's some obligation when you get this kind of recognition. Society has bestowed a gift of sorts. And so there's a burden to share it, so you should talk about your work. The public apparently is interested in what I do. And so I owe it to people to try to explain it and make them appreciate it, try to help them appreciate it. I think it's good for the discipline that people communicate why what they do is valuable. It's good for economics. And I really do think that what we do is valuable and makes our societies function more successfully and promotes human flourishing and makes people better off in all sorts of ways. So I try to strike that balance. I have spoken from time to time with other winners and get a sense of how they do it. I talked a lot in the beginning with Esther Duflo, who very much feels that tension. She runs a large research organization called JPAL, the Jamil Poverty Action Lab. And it's a huge, big operation and very time-consuming and demanding. But she also kind of feels an obligation to interact with the public. And, she kind of convinced me of some of that, the need to do some of that. But I try to keep it under control and still have time to write papers. And I'm working on a new book and I'm teaching and advising. And I still want to keep doing all those things.
זה טוב שהזכרת את אסתר, כי אחרי שהיא קיבלה, on two occasions, I saw her walking on the street just as a regular person, and I was...
Well, she can still walk.
Crossing the bridge to Boston.
Yeah.
What? Are these not,
Well, you don't get a limousine.
Yeah. But the ego...
I still bike to work. Yeah.
So...
I suppose I could have spent my prize money on a better bicycle. And maybe I should.
So there's no ego...
Well, there's an ego element in the sense that my time is now in demand. And for some things, I charge a lot. If you want me to come talk to in certain types of venues which are non-academic. And I don't sort of see that as part of my research life, and I don't see it as part of my instructional mission as a teacher, then I'll charge a big honorarium. You know, so I mentioned I did something for Microsoft. I'm happy to do it, but you know, I charge that type of organization a fee. But I do a lot of academic stuff that I just get my expenses for. I spoke with a group of high school students last week, and I don't get an honorarium for that.
Time is the resource.
It is the constrained resource, right? And so if you're going to be, you know, the key to a successful post-Nobel life, but it's not so different pre-Nobel, is time management and figuring out what your priorities are, because you'll be pulled in many directions. There are sort of, you do see there are laureates that kind of become professional laureates. They don't do any more science. They might not have done any science for decades because you tend to be relatively, you know, you don't usually win when you're very young. So you might already not be doing that much research. But then there are other people, they just kind of, they get into it. They get a lot of invitations to do speaking. I saw that I could probably spend the rest of my life, you know, making a living through a combination of public speaking and a different kind of writing, not so much scholarship, but, you know, journalism type writing. You know, maybe Paul Krugman is a model of that, right? And Krugman has had a very successful career doing that. And I'm sure he made a conscious decision to do that, and that's what he likes to do. But it's not what I would like to do, and it's not what I've done.
פרופסור ג'וש, אנגריסט, תודה רבה.
בבקשה.
תודה רבה.
היה כיף.